How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flam, and we are back with another FPL video. And today you can see we got the green screen working, we have a new background going, and everything looks a lot better than having a little border around the sides of me. I think it looks good. Let me know what you think down in the comments below if I can change anything or the improvements that you might think are better for that. But today we're going to be looking at free hits. I know some people still have theirs left. I do not personally, but I think the best possible time to use them is either in this game week or next game week when you're looking for major differentials. You're also looking for like good one-off fixtures and players that are going to be guaranteed starters in those fixtures. So like people are looking at West Ham as an example, maybe Chelsea, maybe even Crystal Palace as an example. I have a couple of those. Or maybe you're trying to play the rotation with Manchester City and see that some players came off the bench and did well, like Raheem Sterling, or players that played well that got hooked off early and then maybe starting the next game, like Riyad Mahrez. Those sorts of players could be in people's minds. And then you also want to be kind of targeting the relegation teams in order to maximize the amount of value you have on the field. So as an example, Leicester City obviously in a free hit team would be fantastic because they're going up against Bournemouth this week. And Jamie Vardy is the current leader for the Golden Boot. So it might be something to kind of look at there. So let's take a look at the team that I've drafted. So starting off with the defense and the bench here, we just have basic, the run-of-the-mill kind of just non-playing goalkeepers and defenders on the bench. 3.9 million defenders on the bench that won't play, a goalkeeper that's not going to play over Fabianski, and then just a cheap striker in Connolly, who is the cheapest in order to kind of work the budget around the squad value, which is 103.5 million, as you can see above me for the team value. So for in goal, we have Fabianski, like I said. So he's going to be playing Norwich this week, who just can't score. Fabianski's going to pick up save points, because he's going to face weaker opposition, which means their shots are not going to be as good of quality as other teams would be. And against Burnley, who doesn't take much shots anyway, he got a save point as well in that game, who don't typically, they don't typically shoot at all. So it was surprising to see him get a save point. So I can only imagine that he'll pick up a save point probably against Norwich and not face many shots just overall, or not many threatening shots. And even if they do manage to get a penalty, I can easily see Fabianski just saving that, because him, much like Tim Krul, are very good at saving penalties. And I just think that Norwich are just in such low confidence. They kind of know the inevitable for the end of the season. And I think that Fabianski is a good clean sheet option for this week, as well as getting those save points. Then we have the defenders. We have James Justin from Leicester, obviously targeting the Bournemouth fixture here. He had 2 shots inside the box versus Arsenal and a key pass, and he's going to pretty much start every game because Ricardo Pereira is out. So I think he's good value at 4.7 million. Then we just have a steady pick in Virgil van Dijk. He's up against Burnley, who, like I said, don't take many shots at all. He's not going to be at risk of rotation. It's just going to be the fullbacks probably, and maybe the forward line and the midfield. He's kind of in there because mainly Matip's definitely out for the foreseeable future, and Lovren and Gomez probably can't play together, just mainly because that would be just a calamity to bench your kind of pseudo captain on the field in Virgil van Dijk, even though Jordan Henderson is the club captain. And like we said, he had a clean sheet in the, not the last game of the previous game before that, double clean sheet with Trent Alexander-Arnold, got himself a bonus point. And they had a clean sheet last time out versus Burnley as well when they played them before the restart. And I think he's also due a goal from a set piece. I wouldn't be surprised if Virgil van Dijk in the next game or two gets one from a set piece. And it just depends on the type of delivery or the team that they're playing. Maybe not necessarily against Burnley because they're quite good at defending and attacking set pieces. So, but you never know. He's definitely overdue one, and it's been a while since he's had one. But I think he's a good pick in this game week. And then lastly, in the defense, we have Patrick Van Arnhold, or PVA for short, and he's got a good fixture versus Aston Villa away, who are, they've tightened up the defense a little bit. Palace are also solid defensively, although they did concede 3 goals versus Chelsea, but Chelsea obviously a very attacking side, so that's kind of expected. But I think this is a good fixture for him. I think he's going to be providing some good attacking threat as well. He had 2 shots, 1 inside the box, 3 key passes, and 1 assist in their previous game out versus Chelsea. And they basically won, like pretty much most teams in the league last time versus Aston Villa. They won 1-0, and he kept a clean sheet in that one as well. So I think he's going to be a good asset as well. Now moving into the midfield where we kind of had to change some things around a bit. This can also play kind of two different ways as well, and I'll mention that based on the Man City assets you may be looking to bring in on your free hit team. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is going to start in the next game. Pep's probably finally realized that Kevin De Bruyne is kind of good and they need him in the team to kind of start the game. They get way ahead and then you can sub him off if you absolutely need to. And I think that I'm not sure if, Man City are mathematically out of not being in second place yet. They are currently sitting in second. I think it's around 6 to 8 points. I think if they win their next game, they're definitely safe in second place. And I think that based on the results, they kind of go win one game a lot and then maybe struggle in the next game. So I think Pep should keep Kevin De Bruyne in just to provide that stability, provide that creativity that they oh so desperately need from him. As for a Liverpool selection, we've gone with Mane this time over Salah, mainly because Mane was rested in the last game, came off, he only got a yellow, and it looked kind of bad from a eye test point of view, but he's going to start the next game, and I wouldn't put it past Klopp to rest Salah as well as the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold in their next game, because both Robertson and Mane were rested in the previous game, so I can see him kind of doing a flip-flop there. He'll keep the center backs the same and maybe change something in the midfield. But Mane's got 2 goals in the last 3 games. He had a good showing in those games. He can be kind of quiet in some games, but that's kind of good in some aspects for the BPS standpoint, mainly because if he does score, he typically won't be trying to dribble past players and losing the ball, much like how Salah was. Like, even though Salah did get 2 goals and assists, he still did lose the ball a little bit. He still did misplace some passes, and he got kind of greedy towards the end of it. So I think Mane could be a good pick in the midfield for Liverpool if you choose to go for a Liverpool player, as they do have Burnley this week. Now, this is where the interesting part kind of comes in. So we have Sterling and De Bruyne as a double up in there. Sterling could also easily be Jesus, and you swap out Connolly for the likes of, just a non-playing midfielder. You could just stick in like a Cantwell or whoever in there, depending on your budget, and they'll just be bench fodder, and if they happen to come on, they'll come on. But I think Sterling, he got his rest. You have to risk the rotation with City players, even as expensive as Sterling or De Bruyne. They're not fully rotation proof. And, he could be quite good, going forward, as I think that Sterling, when he does play or he does get involved, he gets involved, whether it be making runs to the back post, making runs near post, taking shots by cutting in on his right foot off the left-hand side. And he did get a goal and assist off the bench. So even if he is benched, there's still that threat there. And in that game, he did take 2 shots, one of which was obviously a goal. And he kind of didn't do too much when he, apart from those 2 things. But that's kind of what you want from the likes of Sterling. You want him to just be effective. You don't want him to be trying to dribble past players and just getting dispossessed to lower his BPS. You want him to be up there, getting involved. And when he does get involved, he should score. So unlike Phil Foden, obviously in their game versus Newcastle, Phil Foden could have easily had 2 to 3 goals, no problem with the chances that he had. Obviously missing all of those, that will lower your BPS score quite significantly. And with Sterling obviously coming off the bench, getting a goal and assist, that'll boost his confidence going into the next game as well, which he's most likely to start at. And then we also have Antonio in there as well. He's kind of like, they're kind of their main man. They're kind of figurehead in that team. Obviously, we saw Sebastian Haller come off the bench as well, so he could provide a boost there. He should have scored versus Burnley as well. He's had 2 goals and 3, and his next opponent is Norwich away, and that should just be a pretty easy game, and he should be able to bully the defense with no problem. In that game versus Burnley, he had 5 shots, 4 key passes, and the XG for West Ham as a team was 2 goals. So they should have technically won the game 2-1 based on the stats that they had. So I expect Antonio to be a very good, valuable pick at 6.9. And then lastly, we got to include a Manchester United player in there. This team only has just one Man United player in there, in Bruno Fernandes. He's obviously the pseudo Manchester United captain. He's obviously in there mainly because he's going to play pretty much every game. He's going to get most amount of minutes probably overall, and I think that even the Manchester United's not necessarily played yet, and we have yet to see what he could do. I think it's just good to have a Man United midfielder in there, and I think Bruno Fernandes is kind of the heart of all that. He's a large part as to like the kind of mentality and the change of style of play that we've seen in Manchester United since the restart, mainly because of him, and since he's come in and just kind of put this this ideology that you can just attack and just outplay your opponent that way in order to win games. And last but not least, we have the forward line. No surprises here. We've got both Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. Vardy, would be the captain for this team, ideally. And obviously, Mane would be the vice captain. Or you could put Fernandes as the vice captain. But I think Vardy's the man in form. He's definitely going to be a sword combination with the likes of Iheanacho. So a lot of people are going to bring in Vardy, but not many people are going to have Vardy and Iheanacho. So if you can kind of use your free hit to kind of create that sword, and kind of allow for, more points, because obviously Iheanacho to Vardy to Iheanacho is going to favor your team heavily. He's got 3 goals in the last 2 games. He can basically create a goal out of nothing, as we saw in the Arsenal game in one of his 2 shots that he ended up scoring. And he's obviously the Golden Boot front runner at the moment, and he is playing a lot better with Iheanacho up front. It's kind of just like they've got this nice partnership going with a 2-man front line. They've gone with this wing-back system in the last couple of games, and they've looked better overall, attacking-wise, in the games that they've played. And Bournemouth are just bad, as we know. Like we said, the stat line, conceded 12 goals since the restart. They still have to play Spurs today, so that number could go up drastically. And between the pair of these two, they had 6 shots, 4 inside the box, and Vardy had 2 key passes in their previous game versus Arsenal. And the last time they played Bournemouth, they had a 4-0 win, and Vardy got a brace assist, much like how Salah did in this current game week. So I think Vardy could be quite effective, especially with alongside Iheanacho in the forward line. Like I said, we could also go with something a bit different. So we could have 3 up front with Jesus as well, and we could basically take Sterling out and put in a cheaper midfielder just to come off the bench. So that cheaper midfielder will replace Connolly, and you would just run a 3-4-3 in that scenario. And that's going to do it for our Game Week 35 free hit drought. Make sure to leave a like on the video just for the green screen, because the green screen looks awesome and I can put these cool looking backgrounds. And I ain't going to have a weird looking webcam border around me, even though the webcam border has served its purpose in previous times. Also comment down below as to who your free hit team could be for this game week if you still have it. We'll also be doing a bench boost team for Game Week 36, as I think that's probably the last available time that you can play it, as well as a free hit team for next week. We'll also be doing a buy hold sell video tomorrow or later this evening. I haven't really decided yet, so keep a lookout for that. That's going to be key players that we think you should probably bring in. Spoiler alert, Vardy's on the buy list. And yeah, so keep a lookout for those. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new. It really helps out the channel, and keep watching the videos because I enjoy making them, and I can see that you guys in the comments are being really interactive, which is always great to see. And turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it's readily available. We also have Twitter and Twitch. It's PilotFlame226 on those platforms. On Twitter is where we post all of the videos or any lineup changes that we have for the game week, as well as on Twitch we do our game week discussions, where we will be doing one this week at 11 a.m. EST. That's going to be for our game week 35 discussions tomorrow, the 10th of July at, like I said, 11 a.m. EST. That's going to do it. Hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next video, take care.